Hi YouTube, this is Teddy Staples. If anybody's seen my channel, you know I usually just have videos of me either working on vehicles and stuff. I don't really have a whole lot of discussions. Um, but this is one I've been thinking about for about 2 weeks now, give or take. Um, and it pertains to like going through dealerships and a couple of the experiences that I've had. Um, so far, I've only gone to about 4 different dealerships, um, 2 in Wisconsin and 2 here in South Dakota. Um, and I'll give you a little bit the information that I've had going through them and the differences between the 2 states and um, some of the ones that I'm going to recommend from my personal standpoint from actually going through them. I'm going to see about putting their link in the description. Um, the first dealership that I went to was in Wisconsin called Brickners. It's located in Wausau, Wisconsin, kind of right in the middle of Wisconsin. And I think I was 20, 23 when I went there. And that's where I bought my first vehicle from a dealership. Um, and at the time, I didn't really know a whole lot about vehicles. I didn't know how to work on them. Um, um, and I didn't really know much about going through dealerships. And they helped out a lot. Um, I ended up getting a 2004 Explorer, and this must have been 2012. So it was fairly old, but new enough for me. Um, and in my price range. I went in with like $5,000 and paid for it up front. Um, but I don't know if it was, I think it's all Wisconsin, but I'm not 100% sure. I know the other dealership in Wisconsin that I've gone through was the same way, where they had to do a multi-point inspection before their vehicles could even be sold. Um, so I guaranteed that, you weren't going to drive off the lot and it was going to break down. Like, it was fully inspected, the transmission, everything. Um, and after I bought it, I was driving to and from work. And about a month later, I got pulled over because my tail light was out. And so I called them up. And like, hey, I got a tail light out, and I had some other issue with it. I believe it was like the cruise control or something. Can I bring it in and you guys fix it and just let me know how much it's going to be? I'm like, yep, just bring it in, drop it off. We'll give you a loaner car for the day, for however long you need it. Called me back really quick. I think it was only like 2 hours later. They called me back. So, hey, yep, everything's fixed. It's good to go. It's like, all right, well, how much? What's the payment going to be? I'm like, well, nothing, because you know they wanted to like take care of um their people even after they sold their vehicle, which I thought was really cool. And I had that truck for years. I want to say it had close to like 300,000 on it when I finally totaled it, and um, then I ended up going away from dealership because I couldn't afford it at the time, and my credit wasn't good enough. Um, and then I just started buying like trucks off of Craigslist, little $300 beaters, $800 beaters or whatever. And then I ended up going through another dealership in Wisconsin. This one was in the new Richmond area. At the time, it was Cox Motors, but I believe they got bought by Johnson Motors. And I had cash. Just went there. I was like, hey, I kind of want an older vehicle. You know, something fairly cheap, under 2,000. What do you have? I'm like, okay. Brought me over to their discount kind of cheap lot that they had. And, you know, I seen this old 94 Suburban. I think it had 168,000 miles on it, or close to 170,000. I was like, well, how much is this one? He's like, well, that one's 1,500, all fees included, like 1,500 cash. That's it. That's all you're paying for it. I was like, okay. Well, is there anything wrong with it? I was like, nope. It passed inspection. You know, they had the same deal where they had, you know, checked everything over, like fresh fluids, everything. The tires, the tread was low, but not low to the point where it was a danger. And again, that truck ran forever. Like I ended up selling that one after I got a diesel off of Craigslist. Well, then quite a few years later, I moved to South Dakota. Finally got, you know, a job stable enough where I could afford going to a dealership. I ended up going to one that a guy I work with said that he had buddies that worked there. They could give me a deal, all that. Well, I went on their website, found a nice 95 Dodge Ram. I think that one had about 170, 180,000 miles on it. Body was perfect, besides a couple dents. And, you know, I was like, oh, all right, whatever. I'm going to go buy it, you know, in the same state of mind that, you know, it was like Wisconsin where they had to do their inspection. Got there and told them, like, hey, you know, I got to work in a couple hours. I got to speed this up. And they kind of drug it out. I was like, dude, come on, I've got to test drive it. I've got to, you know, do the paperwork. Come on. And they kept stalling, got the paperwork ready. I was like, okay, now it's time. It's almost to the point where I'm late for work. And it's like, all right, well, fuck the test drive. You know, I'm sure that this is a big enough dealership that I assume that, you know, they actually worked on their stuff. Well, as soon as I got off the lot and onto the road, I could just tell that the transmission was shot. It just had no power, nothing. Like, I got it up on the highway and top speed with my foot all the way to the floor. It was about 65 miles an hour, and the highway here is 80 miles an hour, so I was pissing people off that day. And, you know, I was like, well, what the hell? Like, it was overheating, and this was at Northland Auto. This is the one dealership I'm going to advise everybody never to go to. It is in Webster, South Dakota, and I've got a little bit more to go on them a little bit later. But this vehicle, I have an identical 95 Dodge Ram that I picked up in Wisconsin off Craigslist for roughly $700. And that one's got 230,000 miles on it right now. Same motor, same transmission, everything. So I was like, okay, whatever, you know. This truck was amazing. The one I got from Craigslist. That one was freaking amazing. And I was thinking if it ran anything like this one, I was good. Well, here I brought it home. First weekend I had it, I dropped the transmission pan. Fluid was burnt. There was almost an inch thick of metal shavings, and it's like, what the hell? The oil was burnt. The spark plugs had just oil covered them, and it's like that's the first time I realized, like, damn it, I am screwed. And I've got a video of when I did the transmission, and you can tell in the video I'm not happy. Well, about the third day driving it, the water pump went out. I was mad. I called them up. I told them what was going on. It had overheating issues, so I replaced the thermostat. Didn't work. Still overheated. Still lost like all kinds of power. It would run fine right if it was cold and you started it. It would run fine. As soon as you shut it off and tried turning it back on, once it was started, you had a really bad idle. Told him what was going on, and I told the guy, I was like, I don't want this vehicle. I want you guys to take it back. Like, it's junk. The transmission's shot. The motor is shot. I don't want any part of it. I can't trust this vehicle. This vehicle has left me stranded twice now. They're like, oh, well, we'll fix it. It'll be good as new when we give it to you. It's like, okay. You guys gave me your word. I'm going to believe you. All right. A couple days later, I get it back, and it's still overheating. Like, I drove it on the highway, still overheated. It wasn't in the red, but it was getting close. And it's like, getting really upset. And, told them, like, hey, this is wrong. And they made absolutely no attempt to help me. I was like, you know what, screw it. I'll do a couple of these little things. It was a temperature sensor that was out. And then the headlights, that thing left me stranded. I didn't drive it any more than 5,000 miles in the 6 months that I owned it, or 9 months that I owned it, whatever it was. That thing left me stranded on the side of the road at least 4 times. And the time I was in, I drove to Wisconsin, driving at night, and the headlights cut out, kept cutting out, hit a bump, they popped back on, and it kept doing that. And this is in the middle of nowhere. There's no street lights, nothing. So I had to pull over to a gas station. I had to wait until morning and, pull the dash apart. And when they sold it to me, they told me that they had redone all the wiring. Well, I pulled the light switch out, and it was melted. All the connectors were melted. It just was twisted from all the heat. And it was another $70 part that I had to buy. I had to replace the starter right after I got it, because every now and then when you turned it on, it wouldn't disengage. You turn it on, let go of the starter or the ignition, and that starter would still be spinning. Finally, after months of it just sitting in my driveway, because I had just had enough of it, just parked it there. Finally, after months of it sitting there, I finally brought it back to the dealership. It's like, you guys take it. I don't care. I don't want my money back. I've I mean, you guys have gotten close to $3,000 off of me at this point. The vehicle is coming back to you in better condition than it left. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we're really sorry. Well, the reason I'm making this video that really made me want to make this video is I just got a letter yesterday. They are now suing me for $3,000 for that piece of shit truck that they sold me. Last week, almost a week and a half ago, I went to another dealership here in South Dakota for a Chevy Impala. It's a 2008, so it's a little bit newer than I'm used to, but it's pretty much like the stock. Like, there isn't a whole lot of add-ons, so it's fairly cheap. It's going to be close to a $5,000 car after all the financing and all that crap. But it has less than 120,000 miles on it, so it's the lowest mileage vehicle I've ever owned. And that one, it's got its faults. It's still not as good as any of the vehicles I've gotten in Wisconsin from dealerships, but it's a whole lot better than going to Northland Auto. This dealership's integrity. When I bought the car, it had one of the headlights were out, and the blend door actuator for the heat and stuff. So it was really minor things, but I just drove it to Wisconsin and back. Ran great. I did get a flat tire, but that was road conditions and such. That wasn't a fault of the dealership. But so far it's an amazing car, and that was through Integrity Auto here in Watertown. But yeah, so Northland ended up getting close to $3,000 out of me. They got quite a bit of mechanic work done on that vehicle for free. So, and they got that car back in better condition that they sold it to me. And they turned around and sold it to some other poor motherfucker that actually bought it. And they still want that $3,000 from me. So I'm making this video for people. Don't make the same mistake that I did, and like actually talk to people that have gone through these dealerships. I mean, go online and look at the reviews. Do all the stuff that I should have done, but I chose not to. And I'll try to make another video at some point. You guys have a good day.